Popo side of frequency. So Thursday today we'll throw back with Prince KB Friend Zone still to come. You can also look forward to some Trey songs. We are getting into a very important discussion here. Property speaking, joined by Philip Skuman. You know, it's a Thursday when Philip is in the building. It's a weekend, and you're moving out of a property and you don't notify the landlord. You sublet, get your little drug dealer friend to move in. What are the consequences, especially if there was no contract or clause that said you are not allowed to sublet? Philip will be joining us for that conversation.
But Theweka Game Lodge presents Duke on Fleek. Dress up in all white with a colorful Duke and join us on the 9th of December at Theweka Game Lodge from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and have the time of your life with family and friends. On stage, Queen Jenny and DJ Sanko, Temba Nyati and Maponyani, Pastor Donation and Princess M. Enjoy our exclusive game drives and swimming pools. Entrance is 150 Rand and 50 Rand for a cooler bag. And Gala dinner at 295 Rand per person. Men are also welcome. And for gala dinner, dress to kill. Food will be sold at the venue. For more information, call 015-291-5004 or 060-572-5181.
The progressive breeze of fresh air. Capricorn FM Spring. This is Limpopo's hottest frequency.
We are joined in this hour by broker and owner of REMAX, Philip Skuman. Morning, Philip. Welcome. How are you doing?
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
So the example confession gave that here you are, you're an owner, you have let your property to someone else, they move out, and in other cases, it's not necessarily bringing in your drug dealer friend. It's getting a genuine person to come and sublet, you're making an extra buck, you're giving rent to the owner, everyone's happy. Everyone's happy, right? Or wrong? You know, does it happen often that people move out, they bring in somebody, you get your rent. They may make an extra couple of rands here and there, and everyone is smiling away into the sunshine. No?
No.
So does it happen often though?
Not that often, the rate of occurrence is not that often.
Okay.
But if it does, so let's expand firstly. Let's go back to when is a sublease legal? So you find we deal with a lot of companies that might rent for a project term for like 2 years.
Okay.
And they'll have different contractors coming in and out. That is when, with the express, intention of subleasing to someone else. So the company is signing for the responsibility, and then they will let their contractors stay there. That is a legal sublease. So illegally is when, like you said, your tenant just defaults or he can't pay anymore and then he finds another tenant. It does happen, doesn't happen that often.
Okay.
But that would constitute an illegal sublease.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, that's only if your contract makes provision for this. Most contracts, or a lot of contracts, don't make provision for the sublease, in which case it all goes, anything goes.
Sure.
Because you were never covered for this. So I always suggest using a proper real estate agent with a lot of experience. But anyways, so now you're sitting in a contract where there is provision for this, so you can't sublease, and then somebody has subleased it, which is now technically an illegal sublease. One thing to remember that is very important is that the signatory to the principal agreement, i.e. the one that signed the rental agreement, still stays liable from a legal point of view.
Okay.
Because the sublease, he concluded, whether verbal or in writing, because verbal does count. So whether verbal or in writing to the subleaser does not hold water in terms of why he's not paying. So he's still going to remain responsible for the monthly rates and taxes, whatever is in the contract. And then the subtenant will then be the one that's beholden to him. Now, there's no agreement in that. So, even as a sublessee, what's going to cover you? There's no coverage for that. So, and then it's a normal eviction process. But how much damage has been caused? Sure. That's the question. And where are we sitting now with who's going to do the maintenance? Because that's going to be an argument back and forth between this guy and his illegal sublessee. and at the end of the day, we're going to keep him liable. So that's at his own risk. So there's less risk to you as long as you work with a properly registered and an experienced rental company.
Sure.
There's less of a risk to you. But it can go south pretty quickly if your clause doesn't, or if your contract doesn't provide for this clause.
Sure. And I was about to say, say for example, your contract does provide or it doesn't provide, just briefly, options that you have as a landlord. You spoke of eviction, but in another conversation, you said that can be a lengthy process.
Well, it's the same thing with a normal tenant that's not paying. What else are you going to do? Your focus as the landlord is to generate rent. Okay, where that rent's coming from technically doesn't matter, but technically it does, because you want to have a contract with the person that is occupying.
Yeah.
So let me use another example. Let's say you are renting a house for your kids to stay in. Okay, that is technically a sublease, isn't it? But you are actually cohabiting with them. Then it's not a sublease. If you are staying there, then it's cohabitation. If you're not staying there, then it's sublease. So now it becomes, what do we prove? At the end of the day, we fall back on what the agreement was in terms of paying the rent and keeping the property in good repair and maintenance, because that is all the landlord should really care about if you think about it. Well, unless there's a brothel or a crack house.
That's why I was going. No, that's why I was going, because I know a friend who spoke to the father-in-law and said, look, you've got a property that you haven't been using for some time. Why don't you give me that property?
Okay.
And I've got some business ideas. Okay. And his business idea was to change the place into a trap house.
Okay.
So you got ladies in there, and they pay a daily rate. And at the end of the month, he gets to take out the rental money and give back to the father-in-law until he discovered that the whole place had been run as a brothel.
Okay.
And there are some instances
in
like that in Polokwane.
Okay.
Polokwane is the same as any other country.
In Polokwane. There are even estates that have the very same setting as well.
But this is now a premium option.
Yeah.
When it's inside the estate.
Exactly.
So you just happen to know all of this. Hearsay, right? Okay, back to your story. Don't
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. When Philip says, as a landlord, really what you should care about is getting the rental money at the end of the month. But there are some instances where the entire reputation of the property and also neighbors that may come and say, but this is not on.
And detrimental to the value. Yes, in such a, that's illegal use of land. So now we're going the illegal, it might be quicker just to evict them instead of going for the illegal land use.
Okay.
So we got to look at what your options are in that situation. When you're physically in that situation, we've got to look at what the terms and conditions are, what did we agree on in the first place, and what is the best, quickest way to evict them. Yes, we're evicting them because it's a trap house. That's the real reason. But we might find an easier legal way to let it happen quicker, but that's not the reason we wanted to evict it.
Okay. All right, let's see if we have today. Thank you so much, Philip. That's Philip Skuman, broker and owner of REMAX.
Thanks, guys, once again.